From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio, this is Marquette Now.
Hello, I'm Skylar Chen.
And I'm Odessa San.
COVID-19 vaccine eligibility is accelerating through the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. Beginning on Monday, the next group eligible will include Wisconsin residents with certain health conditions. Currently, those living in congregated living are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. However, the Wisconsin Department of Health said that residence halls do not qualify as congregate living and that students living in residence halls are not yet eligible. Currently, faculty, staff, and student workers with direct daily student contact are eligible to receive the vaccine. Residents 18 and older in 10 Milwaukee zip codes will also be eligible this coming Monday, according to the Milwaukee Health Department. One of these zip codes is 53233, meaning that those living on campus may be eligible. We contacted the Milwaukee Health Department this morning and they said that students in residence halls and apartments may not qualify as actually living in the zip code. For questions about eligibility, we encourage you to contact the Milwaukee Health Department.
Students are beginning to head to Wisconsin centers to get their vaccine. Our news producers, Vanessa Rivera and Kaylee Starl, are eligible for the vaccine because they classify as student workers. They went there this morning and documented their experience.
The University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee is now open to the public as a COVID-19 vaccine clinic to the public. Partnering with Advocate Aurora Health, UWM has healthcare providers and students vaccinating. They started giving out vaccines yesterday and will continue to do so as more people become eligible. The clinic is open to the entire community and appointments can be made through the UWM coronavirus website. The Marquette University Police Department has arrested the suspect involved with the threats and assaults against women on and around Marquette's campus on Sunday, March 14th.
The suspect is in custody and charges are pending with the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. Marquette students received an email last Sunday calling them to be on the lookout for the suspect. Luckily, the Marquette University Police Department was able to locate the suspect in the 24 hours following the alert.
Today is St. Patrick's Day and bars are expected to be full to celebrate the holiday. People also have been since celebrating National Marquette Day recently. Marquette University Police Department responded to many calls that weekend. However, the mask mandate is still in effect and all bars have COVID-19 safety restrictions and capacity limits to ensure customers are staying safe. The bars are currently at 25% capacity under order number 4.4.
Outside the Alumni Memorial Union, a lot of construction is underway for the new business building. But next Tuesday, the building will formally break ground. There will be a virtual ceremony held at 2 p.m. The 100,000 square foot building will be the largest fully donor-funded construction project in the Marquette University history. At around $60 million, register on today.marquette.edu. Provost Aoun has just announced that the Marquette University is considering holding an in-person commencement for the graduating class of 2021. This is very exciting news for the seniors class, who spent half their junior year and all of the senior year in a COVID-19 world. Senior Jake LaFleur has come to the show today to talk to Marquette Now. Ben Wells about his experience over the last year and his excitement at the idea of an in-person commencement. Ben Wells is live in the newsroom with senior Jake LaFleur.
Hello, Odessa. Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for asking me, man. So first, I just want to ask you, how would you describe your experience as a 2021 senior this year?
The experience itself has been a whirlwind of so many different emotions. When I think back to the past year and when it's all been, I really think how I was originally studying abroad at the time when everything in our world completely changed. And coming back from Europe to back to the United States where everything was still so normalized, and then experiencing what it was like to quarantine and isolate and being all like in your own personal bubble, it was a totally different experience than I would have thought completely. And a year ago at this time, I never would have thought we'd still be in the world that we're living in right now. But we adapt, we pivot, we learn how to deal with those things. But it doesn't mean that it hasn't made it difficult in that the load of having to deal with that academically, personally, and in every other sense of the word, it feels like so much of what I expected my college experience to have been taken away. But I think the biggest thing to understand is that it's from something that's larger than myself, larger than us, and we need to be understanding of that. But it doesn't take that sense of what it means to have lost that and to grieve that. And I never would have expected me to end my Marquette chapter the way that I have, but I'm really hopeful that the ending can be at least a little bit better than what the past year has been in general.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I can imagine that the rest of the senior class feels the exact same way. Now, when you first got the news of the COVID-19 closing Marquette University, did you ever think that it would be affecting your senior year?
Never. Like, to be completely honest with you, when everything happened last March, I was very under the impression that things would kind of return to like normal after like that like longer spring break that we had had. And even at that point too, when things got shut down for an even like longer period of time, I was very hopeful about like the fall, everything being like very normal, and even late summer living here in Milwaukee. I was very set on, oh, like this is going to be fine. Everything will return to normal. It's just going to be a couple of months that we're going to have to deal with it. I never would have expected it to take away what I would have thought would have been like my graduation from something that I've worked so long and hard towards, is even towards those senior year experiences that I wanted to share with my family and like my friends and my loved ones, the people that I care so much about. And it's grieving that sense of what I wanted it to be, and it's still impacting us in so many different ways than we would have thought, that I'm still trying to come to terms and like grips with. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think it's really set in with where I'm at and everything too, but we're rolling with the punches and we just go day to day and just see how we can cope and just keep moving forward.
Oh yeah, definitely. I myself can feel that way. Sometimes it still does not feel real, even though it has still been a whole year since the pandemic started. Now, taking all of these losses, how did you feel when you got the email that in-person commencement could be a possibility again?
I literally felt like all the blood rushed to my face because I got so excited, because everything that had happened before we had like received the email that everything was going to be all virtual. I had like talked to my parents because I was like super upset about it, and we had like no idea what that was ultimately going to look like. And even in conversations too with my friends, it was like, what is a virtual graduation going to be? What does that look like? How is that experience going to make me feel and other people feel that are experiencing that? And having that be that same feeling that so many people before all of us have been able to have in person, or to like feel that sense of accomplishment and pride and everything that we've worked so hard towards. So when it was funny because I was like running on my treadmill when I first got that email, and like I opened it and like I shut everything off, and like I got so excited. I tweeted about it. I texted all my friends, everything. And it felt like some sense of normalcy was back in my life a little bit. That even though everything that's been going on, it felt like, oh my gosh, something good can like end this chapter compared to like what the past year and a half has been. And there's been like so much good in that, but it's been plagued by I think so much that's going on in our community, in our world, that has impacted every single person on this planet, and especially even in the Marquette community too, excuse me. But I just felt so good, and I felt like I'm just so excited with that possible like opportunity for that to happen, because it would make so much of the loss and so much of the pain and the heartache and the difficulties that have been associated with this time period not worth it, but it will alleviate so much of that stress because we can have that hopefully. And it's something that I'm really positively like thinking and hoping for at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight with us, Jake. We're keeping our fingers crossed for you. Back to you guys in the studio.
Black students have been fighting for Marquette's administration to address racial injustices on campus.
And coming in the fall could be the start of change at Marquette. As Marquette Wire's Rashad Alexander reports, a new community can finally bring some change to the school's glaring diversity issue.
Attending a predominantly white institution like Marquette can bring added difficulties for students of color, but there is one factor that can positively impact a college student's success on campus: community. Marquette University will be adding a new living learning community called Umoja for Black students on campus.
For me, the biggest success of Umoja could be providing an affinity space, a safe space, a space where students feel valued, seen, um, and supported here on Marquette's campus for the Black students who live in Umoja.
This change comes after a sit-in at Zilber Hall last semester, where the Black Student Council brought specific demands for the inclusion of Black students to administration.
The Umoja Living Learning Community will be located here at Carpenter Hall, where Black students will be enrolled in 2 classes together as part of the community.
Strass Tower is currently home to several different living learning communities on campus, including the Nuestro Hogar program for Hispanic students on floor 17 and 18.
The whole environment is really inclusive, and hopefully they'll get good friends and make great bonds.
The university administration made other promises to the Black Student Council, including scholarships and changes in the curriculum relating to racial injustice.
There can always be more work done, but I do think this is a nice step to include more of the Black community.
I'm Rashad Alexander, Marquette Wire News.
Coming up, we'll be looking at a professor's fascination with space.
And later, we'll see how people are already being affected by construction of the new business building. Stay tuned.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
we discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure
love.
Welcome back to Marquette Now. I'm Skylar Chen.
And I'm Odessa San.
It has been a month since NASA launched the Mars Perseverance rover. Though the rover is 300 million miles away from Earth, it is drawing interest to those here at Marquette.
Reporter Amalia Lagori-Kanef has the latest, gives us a look at the space lovers.
If you're walking down 12th and Wells, you might see a car with an unusual license plate.
Go for Mars. And that is the next great destination for exploration.
Space has always interested Marquette communications professor Scott Durso.
I remember one of the first things is they named the first space shuttle after the fictional Star Trek Enterprise. And so as a kid, I was watching that show on reruns. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
And on February 18th, NASA's Mars Perseverance rover, a car-sized vehicle sent to collect rock samples and find signs of previous life, landed on Mars. This advancement brought excitement to Marquette engineers.
It's all these little things that they've done with Perseverance that will help actually explore human involvement on the Mars. I think that's where NASA is going. I think this is a great step toward that.
The landing of the rover brought overwhelming joy to many, including Durso.
It was like watching at the end of a sports game or any kind of competition where the success, and it was just really thrilling to watch.
Durso says Mars is the next great destination of exploration, which he was reminded of on his latest trip to the Kennedy Space Center.
One of the tour guides said, how many of you are between the ages of 6 and 10? And both my kids raised their hands. You're the ages of the astronauts who will be landing on Mars in 20 years. And both of them were excited, and they're like, great. That's the kind of thing. It's not going to be us. It's going to be young kids that are in elementary or middle school today who are going to be doing this.
From Milwaukee, I'm Amalia Lagori-Kanef, Marquette Wire News.
The LGBTQ Plus Resource Center is hosting a gender affirmation drive this week. There are several drop-off locations around campus, and the purpose of the drive is to help people in the Milwaukee community feel more confident in themselves.
The things that are on our wish list are just kind of things that we worked with the Milwaukee LGBTQ Community Center, who will be receiving all of our donations. And that's just like some hygiene products, unused and unopened lotion and makeup, business casual or just casual clothes, and fun accessories.
The Marquette Theater is having a virtual showing of the play Silent Sky, March 12th through March 21st. The play is based on the real life of Henriette Leavitt, a female astronomer working towards a career in science in a time before women could vote. The play highlights the struggles of women during the women's suffrage movement. Those interested in seeing Silent Sky can find tickets at Marquette Theater's online box office. For $12, ticket holders will receive a passcode that unlocks a recording of the show. On campus, there's a program that not only has intense endurance training schedule, and we aren't talking about the basketball team.
Marquette Now's Jack Connolly has more.
At 6:30 in the morning, most Marquette students are still hours away from even trying to get out of their beds. This couldn't be further from the truth for many of Marquette's ROTC students, where their day has already begun at the old Marquette Gymnasium.
3 times a week, we do training in the morning.
Marquette University was named a military-friendly school by a recent survey done by militaryfriendly.com. Marquette ROTC students Palmer Blass and Ashley Acedo can see why the school would earn such a name.
I think it's great that Marquette has the title, gets to say that it's military friendly and gives us the opportunity to explore this career path here, the scholarship opportunities and the ability to get in shape and have a career in the Army. And there's something for everyone. So like engineers have a path, nurses have a path. It's really accessible to any major. It's accessible to any student who feels like they want to join our program.
Marquette ROTC students recently got the opportunity to get more hands-on experience when they got to practice drills at the UW Parkside campus. They got to show future cadets what it's like to be an ROTC and even practice helicopter dismount training. New training like this and Marquette's continued support of the ROTC program has been able to help new recruits and try to honor past alumni.
Inspiring to see cadets that graduated from Marquette being Army officers.
This is Jack Conley, Marquette Wire News.
Joining us now is Nancy Flaherty with a look at our weather. Nancy, we're seeing some snow this week after having a warm week last week. What's going on with the weather?
Let me tell you, we're pulling a complete 180 here. So right now it is currently 37 degrees outside, humidity is a solid 60%, and we're going to have light rain. Precipitation is at 50% with winds from the northeast 20 to 30 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at the state overnight lows. Up in Superior, we're going to have 33 degrees, over in Minocqua 29, and all the way down in Milwaukee, 37 degrees, keeping it pretty decently chilly. But if we look at tomorrow's highs, we're going to see Superior at 38 degrees, Green Bay over there in 43, mid-50s range over here in Wisconsin, and 41 degrees down in Milwaukee. Now tonight's weather, we're going to look at overcast with showers becoming windy. Now wind gusts could hit over 40 miles per hour, a gale warning on Lake Michigan, waves 9 to 11 feet. The low is going to be 36 degrees, humidity at 76%, and those winds coming in from the northeast at 20 to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow itself is going to be cloudy and windy with a high of 41. So as the degrees is going up, the wind is also increasing too, with winds from the northeast to 20 to 30 and humidity at 60%. Now, if we're looking into the 5-day weather forecast, we can see over in the weekend, we're actually approaching higher temperatures with 42 degrees as a high on Friday, 52 as a high on Saturday, and even 60 degrees on Sunday, even though it's going to be slightly cloudy. Monday is going to be 60 degrees as well, with Tuesday with slight rain coming in at 55 degrees as a high. Now that's it for weather. Stay with us because Ava Maris will be back with sports right after this.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
we discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure love.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm Ava Mares with your Marquette Now Sports Report. Just announced on Monday, Marquette women's basketball has been selected as the 10th seed in the NCAA tournament. They will play 7th seed Virginia Tech this coming Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. This will be the Golden Eagles' 5th appearance in the tournament, but this is the first appearance under head coach Megan Duffy. Let's take a look at the team's reaction to being selected. The Marquette women's basketball team broke a record with 11 road wins this season. But what makes that stat even more impressive is their ability to double as a student and athlete when away from home. Junior forward Chloe Murata has the inside scoop of what it's like being a student athlete on the road.
For student athletes, life on the road isn't as glorious as some may think.
It's definitely tough to do homework after a loss or even a win. You're all excited, but it's like you still got to crack down. You still got to be a student before the athlete.
If the student athletes are not on the court, they are in their makeshift classroom. Marquette's fifth-year senior has plenty of experience managing both school and basketball on the road.
Van Clunen has been so efficient from the field.
We understand that we have a small amount of time on the road to get homework done, so when we have study hall or we have our academic meetings, we need to obviously be focused in one, but two, make sure we try to get as much done as possible.
While the athletes are studying their majors, they are also studying film on the other team's tendencies.
We have to do our job because when we do, really, really good things happen.
Studying is a part of just being a basketball player and studying basketball and studying school at the same time.
But even with the stress of school and basketball, the athletes deserve a little fun.
When you get about 20 to 25 people in the same room trying to win just the most stupid games, it gets pretty funny, it gets pretty competitive. And it's honestly kind of my favorite part of, that little off day before our game.
And when the buzzer sounds,
tip goes to Marquette in the golden jerseys and Creighton in the blues.
It's go time, where all the preparation pays off. In Johnston Hall, I'm Chloe Murata, Marquette Wire News.
For the third time in 2 years, Marquette basketball will be replacing another associate head coach. Dwayne Killings is leaving Marquette to take over as head coach of the University of Albany. Killings has played a crucial role in the Golden Eagles' 2020 notable recruiting class, as well as their season overall. Now that's it for sports, but don't go anywhere. Marquette Now will be right back with our Down to the Wire segment.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Welcome back. I'm Skylar Chun.
And I'm Odessa San. Marquette Wire reporter Claire Disical joins us now for tonight's edition of Down to the Wire.
She's with Ben Wells to talk about his article about anti-Asian discrimination in the United States.
Say it again.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Executive News Editor Ben Wells to talk about his Asian discrimination article. How are you, Ben?
I'm doing really good, and let me just say, it is so fun to be on the other side of these chairs.
Yeah, well, it's fun to be on this side. So first question was, you briefly mentioned the 2004 SARS epidemic in your article and how Asian and Asian Americans also experienced discrimination during that time. So it's been 17 years and we are still having this same issue. Why is this still an issue?
You know, that's a really interesting question. You know, and the unfortunate answer is that like racism is always going to be a sort of thing. When I was I actually talked to John Su, Vice Provost, in my article, and he said that this has been a thing ever since, you know, his father came to this country. There just seems to be this unfortunate culture in the United States that Asian Americans immigrating to the country of the United States are associated with contagion, is how he put it.
Yeah. So you also mentioned the increase in Asian hate crimes beginning last March, around the same time of the COVID-19 pandemic started. What is the correlation between these two events?
So there are a lot of conspiracies, and a lot of the focus around the coronavirus pandemic is that it originated from China.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine that there were people in the United States who want to shift the blame to the country of China. And in the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism, they actually did research and found out that most Americans, regardless of their political views, blamed China themselves or blamed the virus on something that came from a Chinese laboratory, which is something that the United Nations has debunked. It was not made in a laboratory.
Yeah.
So this sort of correlation from the coronavirus and anti-Asian discrimination is unfortunately a causation of what has been happening, of misinformation, of disinformation, and just people who are in power and in authority just misusing their platform.
Yeah. How can students voice their concerns regarding racial harassment or discrimination across campus?
Well, I think the easiest way is to report it through a bias incident report. That is just one way you can do it. But I think it also includes being active in what you see. You know, it is super easy to recognize and see racism in our country, but it is a whole entire different thing to actually act on and do something about it. Now, I myself, I'm a white person, and you know, we have a responsibility as who we are. We have already been put in this position of power, and we need to emphasize voices of people who have been persecuted, who have been to the subject of ugly, ugly racism. That is something that we can do. It is absolutely necessary for us to be not just reporters, but active reporters. We actually talked about this in one of our Marquette Wire staff meetings about what it means to be, you know, I forgot the exact wording, but how we need to increase diversity and what it means to just sort of be anti-racist.
Yes. Well, that's all the time I have today. Thanks so much for being here, Ben. And back to you guys in the studio.
That's all we have for you tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Skylar Chun.
And I'm Odessa San. Remember to check out marquettewire.org for all the latest campus news. Good night, Marquette.